So the first story of tonight was the Buffalo shooting.
Terrible shooting. Terrible.
Absolutely horrible.
Why do we have to go
Uh,
with the heaviest story to begin with? What the fuck's wrong with you, Jay?
Well, because if you came in at the beginning, we go heavy and then we go light, and then we
All right,
end
fine,
it with
fine.
our tits.
Ernie already wants to leave. He doesn't want to stay for this. I don't blame anybody. Let him go.
So the Buffalo supermarket where 10 black people were killed in a racist shooting rampage was more than a place to buy groceries. As the
So,
only supermarket for miles, it became a vital community hub.
so what do we know from this shooting? Because obviously there are a lot of things that have happened, and I feel like the amount of politicization of this happened pretty much as soon as the first report came out.
Oh, absolutely, and you could tell that people were waiting and wishing and couldn't wait to see that the guy was white. There were
Right.
some of
Oh,
them
white, not
who
only
were
just
right
white,
there.
but like had the N word with the hard R written on his rifle,
Manifesto. And
and
his,
on
oh,
his manifesto, and that he was
wow.
like basically echoing what's it called, like the talking points of or like the rhetoric of Fox News and Tucker Carlson, which honestly, Jay, at this point, like anything to the
It's
like
not
anything to like the right of Stalin is
is
considered like Fox News, Tucker Carlson, white replacement theory. I think there is.
right.
I think there is. I think there's legitimate criticism to be made about sort of the influence that these news networks have, like Fox News, like Tucker Carlson. I did, but like I draw the line when people carry out acts of violence and they don't necessarily cite they don't necessarily cite any person um, for inspiring their say like their mass killing spree.
Yeah.
Um, but what's interesting is that I've seen specifically this particular part where like, and I was talking with a friend of mine about this because when there you start to hold people accountable
Siraj, your
for
shadow
what
is
they
not your friend. We've said this multiple times. When you hear your shadow talking back to you, it's not a person. It's voices in your head.
yeah, man, I should probably get that addressed. No, this is what I was gonna say. So like, the whole issue with blaming people for mass shootings, seen it constantly.
Yeah, blaming other people for the rhetoric. It's
Right,
and
blaming
and
people
and
for
you
the rhetoric.
yeah, and you and I have seen this a lot, especially after 9/11, where
Right.
in like decades, and not decades, but years after, it's well, now it's decades, but every time something happens, they're like, this is because of this ideology that you follow, because of what people are saying, and they try to group all Muslims
Yeah,
into it,
generalize.
generalize it. But this is, to me, this is like a step further, because they're generalizing it all upon race, because they say this is
Right.
all white people, this is
Right.
all whiteness, this is all, and to me it's a little different, because like there are different kinds of Christians, there are different kinds of Muslims, there are different, because within Islam there's a different ideology. But if somebody is like, all brown Pakis are like this,
Hmm.
it's a different, it becomes a different fucking like um thing, because you can be Islamophobic and bigoted against Islam,
Hmm.
but then when you bring like, this is whiteness, you're a racist, you're being
Right. And
absolutely racist.
so here's what I was trying to say though, was that you know, there is something to be said about the influence that people like Tucker Carlson or Fox News or others like that in cable news have. Again, where I draw the line is that there almost seems like a deliberate, desperate attempt to try to attribute the acts of a mass murderer, a racist mass murderer at that, who specifically went out of their way to target people of a different skin color because they view that that people with that skin color as inferior to him. Like there's not, I mean, like they basically, and I think I saw this tweet from he who shall not be named. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about, but basically like uh going on with the logic that like they are expecting Republicans to basically denounce white supremacy because that is supposed to be, because if they don't, then it just means that they are complicit and that they silently approve of white supremacy. So like the kind of, so you got like people like Liz Cheney denouncing white supremacy, then putting the onus on the House GOP. You saw that?
Yeah, I did, of course. And not only her, that other dumb fuck guy, Adam, who likes to lick the boots of Democrats. Like that, you don't have to. It's like expecting every Muslim to denounce any kind of act of Islamic
Exactly.
terrorism.
It's exactly
It's
like
exactly
that.
what it is. So then they want to bring in and say, and then you had that article from Rolling Stone from Tanya or
Talia Lago.
Tatia, yes, and saying that this lone wolf isn't by himself. This is the ideology of he's a Republican. This is exactly the same thing that they denounced other people for saying by saying that this is the ideology that Islam follows. And they would go after those people as racist, as Islamophobic, as bigoted, all that kind of stuff. But if you're going to tie it into white people or say that this is all Republicans and this is all white people, you're totally okay for doing that. You're totally
Right.
fine. They and they don't see it. They're so unself-aware. They don't see what they're doing. They became the people that they fucking hate instead of
Yeah,
like
which is just
like
amazing
trying to
because
talk to people.
yeah, which is amazing because like Jay, you and I, while our views, while we've evolved over the years, like we're not obviously ones to condone white supremacy. If anything, white supremacists hate people like you and me more. I mean, just shit. I mean, shit. Just look at our Rumble comments.
Right.
But I think it's important that we remain consistent here because I am not expecting all white people to be condemning the actions of a few small subsect of white people who do terrible things in the name of quote unquote like preserving the white race. Like that is something that look, I wouldn't expect anyone to do. I wouldn't expect like again, like people shouldn't have to be I'm not saying what I don't know what's the word. They shouldn't have to like condemn literally every single thing that happens. Like bad shit happens in the world, Jay, with or without your commentary, with or without your complaints. I think it's important for us to speak our mind and say what we believe. At the same time, I think it's important for people to understand that sometimes it's okay to not say anything. It's okay to just let the facts roll in. It's okay to just read up on stuff and try to understand the world that we live in. There are too many people speaking without actually thinking and or speaking without listening first, and all those people tend to just be on Twitter basically.
Right. And like extreme online
Extremely online.
is a problem. It really is. And look, the guy who did commit these crimes, they're on him and they're only
Absolutely.
on him.
I
And it's the same
actually
thing when we talk about like Islamic terrorism and stuff. It's on the people, the perpetrators who did it.
right.
It is not on other people who are Muslim
Right.
because they're not that person. You
Like
cannot.
Jay, I
You
think
can't
you and
do
I
that.
are like Jay. You and I are in good positions to at least understand this from lived experience. That like we were blamed throughout our lives for the acts of a small, very very small group of people who share the same faith as us. Well, not you anymore, but at least your upbringing, and they would expect us
Who
to
are just called
apologize, and that
Muslim.
mainly came from the right. That was something that was rhetoric that mainly came from the right. So
It did.
now we're seeing it coming from the other side on the left. People on the left are either like ashamed to be white or ashamed to be, I don't know. They
American. They are ashamed to be
American, yeah.
American. Yes,
And
but
they're basically saying that whiteness is like whiteness is an illness or a
a
disease. Like I
disease.
saw one person
Mhm.
say that. Oddly enough, his name was Morgan Freeman, and apparently he's not the black Morgan Freeman. He's the white Morgan Freeman. Which again, I could probably understand if you're the white Morgan Freeman. You really kind of got the short end of the straw there, not being the black Morgan Freeman, basically being the voice of God. I mean, Jay, you're telling me there's a guy out there whose name is Morgan Freeman and he's white and he's not the voice of God? I'd be pretty mad to be white too, honestly.
Absolutely.
So
Very, very much so on that point.
Spencer, get back
100%.
in here. Ernie is barking. He wants something. I need to go see what the buddy needs. Hold on. What buddy?
Oh, I boomered it. Never mind. Damns.
I know you did because you were on mute.
Ah,
Like it didn't come in exactly when you came in.
pain. I was gonna make a joke based off of where is it? Josh, where's your comment? There we go. This comment. I was gonna make a joke off of this one, but
I know
whatever.
that, which was so great because for people who don't know, Spencer is Jewish, so that's why that's why this was really hilarious because he made this comment before, like right before Siraj came on. So that's why
This is when Siraj came on. That's what this was
yeah,
about.
exactly when
It
he
was when
came
I
on,
left and Siraj came on.
which was so good. That was hilarious. So
All right,
now
I'm
he
not
got
gonna
his
do it.
feeder for King Ern, his feeder for King Ern. But also to your point, Siraj, when they were saying these things, is the Democrats are just it, like if we want to go like to your point, if we want to go to their logic and saying that like Tucker Carlson was at fault 100% for those things and everything, the Democrat Party is just as responsible for it because of their rhetoric in talking about how much they want to bring and flood and bring in as many immigrants and illegal aliens in as possible to change the voting system. Like it's not
So, sorry, I
it's not
missed part of
a
that point. What were you saying?
I was saying like to your point where they were trying to blame this shooting solely on Republicans and white people. Like if you follow their logic, you can bring it back to them themselves. You can bring it that the Democrats are to blame because they were pushing the ideology of saying that yes, we need to bring in as many illegal aliens and as many immigrants as possible to completely change the demographic of white voters to be completely just minority voters
Yeah.
or people of color voters.
So at one
And they
point,
openly spew this. They openly say this stuff.
but again, this is the thing. I don't see. I've heard of this idea of like demographic shifts
Mhm.
and basically like changing the makeup of a state, say like how Julian Castro in like 2013, or was it Joaquin Castro, one of the Castro brothers, saying that they're gonna turn in the next decade, Texas will turn blue because of shifting demographic shifts, and basically promulgating this idea and celebrating it as something that we should all be in favor of, because ultimately Democrats govern better than Republicans, right, Jay? Right.
Oh, absolutely. Look at
Democrats
what's
are the
happening
nice
to
part.
California. I mean, yeah,
Democrats want
exactly.
diversity.
California